If you don't mind, would you rather us
Whatever you're comfortable with, keep in mind what you're doing is speaking to a board's direction, so it'll probably sit. However, even though we don't require videos or anything, I would argue that you're standing because you intend to have something later. So if you're more comfortable standing, stand. You might want to, oh, that's me. You might want to get your 10-minute thing started, so it's fine.
we'd rather just not look. About what I Yeah.
Into denial. Okay, well,
Good morning. Thank you for having the Eisenberg Consulting Group back. My name is Nikhila Namgopal, and this is my colleague, Nicole Michelle. As the Nestle Board of Directors, I'm sure you're aware that 9% of your business is from Nestle Water. You also have the largest market share in the beverage industry. However, only 3% of global water is available for consumption, so we believe that it is a global risk. While there are many issues involved in the extraction of water and privatization and manufacturing, we've noticed a lot of community pushback recently in terms of your extraction decisions.
And we've seen this pushback in different forms. So there's been grassroots campaigns, there's been the foundation of organizations such as Stop Nestle Waters, and more importantly, there's been protests, several protests in many states across the nation.
We believe that this is largely due to the tragedy of the commons issue. This is an economic problem that states that while everyone is benefiting from something, they're simply focusing on maximizing their personal value. So it leads to everyone benefits, which follows into this resource being undervalued, overutilized, and eventually leads us to the problem we see today, which is scarcity. This is the problem we identify with water.
So the core ethical issue here for Nestle is that there's a conflict between Nestle's right for water, your rights for water, and the community's rights for water. And in other terms, this would be looking at the impact Nestle's operating decisions are making on these directly affected communities.
We've also identified an underlying issue of truthfulness and transparency. Now, we noticed that there is an inconsistency between your audited financial statement, your audited financial statement and your unaudited sustainability report. We believe that your shareholders have a right to understand the material risk that water proposes.
And in addition to water being a material risk, we want to emphasize water is also a legal risk. And we need to you as Nestle need to stay ahead of this regulatory curve by creating some sort of sustainable approach. And so now, as we've discussed water as a material risk and a legal risk, we want to transition into the ethical issues of water.
So the Center for Humans and Nature developed a 6-step approach on approaching water as an ethical risk. The first step would be aligning your goals with the UN Charter. So Nestle has to acknowledge water is necessary for survival. The second step would be approaching the interconnectedness and creating solidarity. So Nestle has to identify that the communities do need water, but Nestle needs it as well. So acknowledge that interdependency. Moving on to ensuring that communities that are affected by water scarcity have the right to first access. So if there is a community that needs water, Nestle needs to ensure that those communities have right to water before you extract it for profits. The next step would be appreciating the common good. So the tragedy of the commons is an issue that affects Nestle, and Nestle has to focus on that. Finally, there is another step that is the right stewardship, and to ensure that the solution to a problem within an industry needs to come from the industry. So Nestle, as a leader in the beverage industry, needs to tackle water scarcity as an issue for them. Finally, the last step would be empowering communities. Nestle needs to make sure that the values of the communities are upheld on a larger scale, make them seen in terms of public policy. This should be Nestle's priority.
And to dive a little further into the ethics, we think that you need to acknowledge your different stakeholders here. So the first stakeholder we see is the environment.
And your duty to the environment is to protect and conserve.
There's additionally a duty to your employees.
Your employees expect a company that they're proud to work for. They want job security and they want a good working environment.
There's also a stakeholder, which is your shareholders.
And your shareholders expect you to maximize value, they expect disclosure of material risks, and finally, they expect you to preserve the longevity of your company.
You also have a duty to your directly affected communities, so this is the communities in which you're operating and extracting in.
These communities expect you to respect their natural resources and extract sustainably. They also want to understand the risks of extraction and expect you to act ethically and create jobs.
And there's also a duty to a larger society.
Larger society also expects you to preserve the natural resources, but on a larger scale in a longer term. We also believe that society expects you to act legally and ethically and create value for it in terms of taxes.
And the final stakeholder we'll identify is your customers.
And your customers expect a high-quality product.
So in terms of the solution to address all of these stakeholders and ethical dimensions is what we've coined as be the leader. So we think that you should be the leader. So we think that you should be taking on a position of leadership and stewardship within the industry. And this would be a three-step or a three-pronged approach between the aspects of ownership, outreach, and action. So in terms of ownership, we believe that you need to address the negative press that you've been receiving, as well as acknowledge any deficiencies in your efforts in the past. We also believe ownership is in part related to disclosures, so you need to be making sure that water as a material risk is included in your audited forms. And the last step of ownership would be having some sort of public press conference in which you are telling the public that you do have a plan of action to address this dilemma that we're facing.
The next step would be outreach. Nestle needs to identify its global impact, work with the existing communities that they're operating in, and have them involved in siting and extraction decisions. We also believe Nestle should work with environmental groups and align their business decisions with the impact on the environment. Nestle also has to work with external scientists along with the internal Nestle scientists to ensure that this entire plan is backed by science. We believe that while the information from this is important, there's no real solution unless there is a plan of action.
So as Nikhila said, we need to have a plan of action here. So that would be step 3. We want to take the information gained from this outreach component Nikhila outlined and transfer it into creating scientific, ascertainable standards for extraction. So this would include things such as not extracting from locations which are experiencing periods of environmental instability. So communities that are experiencing some things such as droughts. Additionally, you shouldn't be siting from locations which are environmentally vulnerable. We also believe that by including the community in creating these ascertainable standards, that you're mitigating some risk of that pushback that we've been talking about this whole time. Another action would be implementing initiatives and frameworks which you've already created. We've seen that you've created them, but we haven't seen any real action, so we want to make sure that you're putting these into effect. And the final action would be establishing an ethics department within your business.
We believe that this solution would be the best business decision for you. While we understand that water scarcity isn't a problem you can solve overnight, we expect Nestle to work continuously to improve its standards and act ethically. We believe that there's also, well, this is slightly outside our ethical analysis, that Nestle should focus on looking for alternative sources of water in the long term. We believe that rather than being a burden, this is an opportunity for Nestle to be the face of sustainability.
And we really want to prove to you that this option that we've outlined is the best possible option. So we're going to look at the costs and the benefits. So there are some costs, and we see that in the form of some short-term stakeholder dissatisfaction, because a part of that ownership piece was addressing your deficiencies in the past and addressing that negative press. There's also the increased cost of having to report because you're not currently reporting. We'll also see the financial burden of having to pursue these actions, as well as the possibility for increased costs with an ethics department, but we believe that ethics department can be mitigated by using employees that are already within the company.
So the benefits of this is long-term stakeholder satisfaction. And we believe that stakeholders will be satisfied knowing that you have a plan of action that is achievable and realistic. The next one would be Nestle is the face of sustainable change. Nestle has a competitive advantage now. Finally, we believe that the environment is critical to your business, and and your benefit is that you're protecting water. You are keeping that as a priority to your business. We believe that this aligns Nestle with the global attitudes towards water. And the global attitude towards water has been changing. This is evident from the original UN Charter from 1945, which doesn't state water as a human right, to now the 2016 Sustainable Development Goals, which clearly emphasize that water is a human right necessary for survival.
So, just as these global attitudes have changed, we've seen a shift in the community attitudes as well. So again, we want to bring it back to this dilemma between your rights to water, Nestle rights to water, compared to community rights to water. And you have been protected in the courts in terms of your rights to water. You're following the proper processes, you're filing the correct paperwork, and your permits are being upheld. So the court is ruling in your favor, but we really want to emphasize the community impact of this. The community pushback we've seen in Florida, Oregon, Ontario, and Michigan, in which communities are outraged, they're increasing their regulations, and if you don't address this issue, then we'll see either an inability for you to sustain your company by doing business, or in the long run, there'll be no water left for you to do business at all.